Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've attended the stream yesterday, we've started building a blog based on a theme forest template, a ghost template, and I'm rebuilding this with Tailwind CSS, Astro, and then storing the content with Keystatic. So, what I think we're gonna do is first open the chat, see if people have questions. Looks like the audio, everything is ready to go. So I will share my screen and I will show you where we ended up yesterday and pick it up from there. I haven't touched anything since. So this is the Spotlight theme that we're taking inspiration from. Shout out to High Five Themes. High five to High Five Themes. And so this is what the actual Spotlight website looks like. Ooh, we haven't done the banner, I just realized. There's a hero, then there's some categories with different posts. And so the taxonomy of this website is basically a series of categories, as you can see here. And then each category has multiple posts. So there's posts, there's categories, and there's also authors. At this point in time, if I look at what we have in our build, let me go back to the home page here. This is the version we built. We know because the logo is a fake logo, but we have the hero. We used a different font because of some trouble with the the DM Sans font. I might look into it today, but so far we had this. We created nice categories with multiple posts attached to it. There's not that many posts, so some categories don't have posts yet. We're going to populate all of this today. But there's 4 categories, 5 actually. And if we go, nothing links to that, but if we go to the category page, what am I doing? Categories. There is the nicest looking page because I've selected some decent images. And again, categories can take you to drill down pages. We have this nice little hover effect that matches. Hang on, I'm just going to reorder, put my admin UI up there. So I have the site and the target sites side by side. You can see that little hover zoom effect that we've recreated with our tiles. And so if you go to exploration, hello Flex. If you go to exploration, it takes you to the exploration page, which has a list of posts. So this is how far we've gone. Excuse me. And so today, I think we're going to create more posts and we're going to create an author collection in Keystatic so we can assign authors to posts. And actually, let's create the authors first, because when we create posts, we can then directly assign them to authors. And again, we can choose, is it one author per post or is it multiple authors? It looks like this blog is always a single author. So let's do that. But yesterday I showed how you can have an array field and then have a relationship field inside, and it turns into a multi one-to-many relationship basically. So let's create an author collection in Keystatic. As always, please ask comments or anything you have to say. I have the window up here and I'm looking at it. So an author has an avatar, a name, some social links, and a little biography. Those are the schema fields it appears. So let's do that. I am here in the Tailwind, the Keystatic config file. So we've created a collection yesterday for categories and posts. And now we're going to create our authors. So it's also a collection. The label for it is authors. I don't want Copilot to do everything for me, although it's pretty good at it. where we want to store these authors, we're going to stick with the convention that we've done with content collection in Astro. So src content and then the name of the collection, and then create a file directly instead of a folder. So this is going to be path src content authors star. Yep. The slug field is going to be the name, yes, because we won't have a title for authors, but a name. Very good. So let's have our schema. I'm thinking the author doesn't need to have a markdoc file because there's not going to be long form copy. There is a bit of copy, but this to me is not going to be something where you want users to make links and heading tags and like WYSIWYG editor type stuff. I see this as just a multi-line text area, which is just one paragraph. So we'll just use a text field, which means we're going to store our content for authors as YAML. And it could be JSON. I was going to say I can show you JSON, but then it means we have the categories in YAML, the posts in markdoc, and the authors in JSON. But why not? This showcases that everything works in harmony. You would never, I doubt you would in a project have some files in YAML and some files in JSON, but you can, and they work together. So let's do that. So the schema is going to be a name, the author name, which is going to be a slug. So fields.slug, label name, and that name here is basically what's going to be for the text field. And you have another one which is optional, which is slug. And so if you wanted, you could have also here a label and say unique identifier, something like this. So just to show you what it looks like, this slug field needs a name label, which is what's going to be on top of the text, the actual name field, the text input. And then you can also change the label of the slug if you think it makes sense. So if I go in Keystatic, now we have these authors. And if I create a new authors, you can see the name label, which is this first one here, is placed above the actual field that is attached to the slug. And then the other one's like this. All right, and it works like it's normally using. So back to our author. We need a name that we have, avatar. So let's do the avatar next. Whoops. Let me scroll down a bit. Avatar fields.image. The label is going to be avatar. And we're going to be consistent with how we've been doing our image placement by selecting a directory and putting this in public images authors. Perfect. And the public path, Copilot knows it, is going to be /images/authors. Beautiful. Copilot, you're doing great. Once you have some samples above of what you want to do, you know, we've done that here. So Copilot is like, yeah, I gotcha. I know what you're doing. All right, so we have avatar. Then we want an array of social links. Yeah. Oh, let's do the bio because it said, yes, thank you. So we have a field.text for the biography. It's a normal text field, but multi-line true turns it into a text area with like you can have a few lines of text rather than just a little strip. And that description goes under the label to help the user. So if we look at what we've got, we now have a pretty nice, and you can see none of the fields are mandatory. We probably should add validation is required stuff. But yeah, I just want to try to stick to some prototyping aspect of things. But if you wanted to make sure the user selects an image, for example, you would go in the avatar and you would have validation is required true. And now we're going to have a little star next to our image because you have, and if you try to create, it's going to tell you, hey, you need an image. But some users are shy and don't want to upload an image and would rather have the little Twitter egg or the whatever placeholder image when you don't have one. So we can go like that. Okay. So let's do next the social links. Social links. So this is going to be an array of objects. I want an array. Let me pull up the actual UI. I want an array of objects that have a either platform name or icon name or whatever. That's interesting. We could either have like a free-form list, like some sites like link trees and stuff have you, where you have a label and then a link, and you can say personal website, simonswiss.com, Twitter, twitter.com/simonswiss. Or we can have a set amount of fields. Like we don't want you to have Mastodon or because we don't have an icon for that or whatever. So what is this one anyway? Facebook, Twitter, or X. And what's that? Oh, I don't know. Facebook, Twitter, Spotlight, minimum high five. I don't know what this icon is. Globe, Earth, Google Earth. Am I missing something? What icon is that? So let's do just Facebook, Twitter, and GitHub, yeah? We're going to hard code or determine you can only have 3 social links. Because we don't want to, we want to have an icon for each. You could let them have an icon picker and select whatever icon, but so let's do that. Social links is going to be it's not an array anymore, it's an object now. Fields.object. And so inside our object, I don't think that is the syntax. I don't want to trust Copilot with new things. Fields.object. Yeah. Has it got a label? I don't think it's. You basically directly pass the schema inside here. So first one is I think it's that. Twitter feels that. Well, no, if it's Twitter, we just need the URL. Okay, let's do this. Twitter handle feels that text. Label Twitter handle. And we want to make sure that the users know what to do. And so we're going to be very descriptive. And we're going to say Twitter handle without the @ right? So it's pretty clear for the user that Twitter handle without the @ would be for me Simon Swiss. I think that works. Let's do the same for GitHub. GitHub handle? I don't know if it's called a handle. And Facebook, LinkedIn. Let's just go Twitter and GitHub. That is enough to reveal the mechanism, I guess. So see how now we've done a fields.object, but it still feels like 2 different fields. It doesn't really feel like a section which is social links. But the fields.object, which is open here and close here, has, I think, here some options to have a label. So here we're going to say social links. I don't think the description is really useful, but it already creates some separation. And one thing you can do if you know it's going to be, it's unlikely that someone's Twitter handle is taking the whole width or even half the width. So we can play with that nice new layout property. And you can see that the layout property is an array of numbers which add up to 12. Yeah, so you can go 6, 6, or you can go 12, 8, 4. So let's go 6 and 6 and see what happens. Hey, this is nice. Now I think that it needs to be sorry, I paused because I saw a comment that just enlightened my brain. The globe little icon we saw before is for the personal website, which makes so much sense now. That's your little home, your little place on the planet, that thing here. Let me put the comment just above it, next to it. So that thing here is the personal website. So let's add that very quickly. But yeah, and then I'll go back to my layout. I'll just add a third one. Here, personal site. Oh. Personal website. We don't need a description for this one. It's pretty self-explanatory. So now we done label 6, 6, but we have 3 items in our social links. So I wonder what happens. I think things will break. They will literally break. We've broken the site. Yeah, column span is required. So it's okay. It's like the layout is breaking. So we should probably have an error that is a bit more useful than that. But basically, let's go 444, and that should fix it. Yeah. So it's not ideal that the whole thing bombs because of layout, but this is what happens for now. This is exactly the sort of stuff I'm trying to uncover by using Keystatic in the real. And you see here that I actually do want to bring back a description just so that the layout looks nice. So description, the URL, your little corner of the internet. There you go. Now what I was curious to see, so now it's nice, see with the label, it's like a grouped section, which looks really cool. What I wanted to know is what happens if I don't add up to 12. Say I go 3, 3, 3. Does it also, I imagine it just doesn't go full width and it just takes. See, it also explodes. So that's, to me, a little bit intense. If you don't add to 12, you are punished with a white screen of death. Oh yeah, so the layout must span exactly 12 columns. So the error is here, but the front-end UI just completely bombs. So we have the answer. We need to add up to 12. So you can do 4, 3, and 5, which should add up to 12. And you can see that now the split is 4, 3, 5. So that's pretty flexible, but make sure you're decent at maths and you can add up to 12 columns for the split. We have South America in the house. Hello from Brazil and from Bolivia. Thanks for joining. Welcome. Please ask questions, make comments, roast me, do whatever you need to. So we got 3 columns. We got social links. This is nice. This is nice. So what do we need? What else do we need? We have the bio, the social links, avatar. I think that this is it. Title, avatar, social links, biography. Oh, yeah. How did I call it? Bio? I don't remember because ChatGPT, Copilot did. Yes. Okay, we've got everything. So let's go and create a few authors. I'll create myself first. Close the. So we should have 0 authors still, yes. Add author. Simon Vrashly Otis. Hard to pronounce, but it's not that hard once you know. Unique ID. Why did it not? Oh, it should have, but that's okay. We'll do it like this. Avatar. Documents, new avatar. Hey, there it is. Let's go, whatever. Happy father of 2, corgi owner, web developer, designer, content creator. There you go. Social like Simon Swiss. Simon Swiss. SimonSwiss.com. Easy. Stick to the same handle on everything you can. Honestly, this is going to save you headaches. Okay, so let's create Simon Swiss. And remember how I said I was going to make JSON? I haven't specified it, so it's going to make YAML for now. If I go, we should have a new content authors thing with YAML stuff. Now let's do a fun exercise. We're going to turn this into JSON. Why not? Let's rename this to JSON. So now it's obviously not valid JSON. I should probably have used, you know what, let's do that. No, yes, keep the rename, but I'm going to be smart and use the internet instead. What do I mean? What I mean, see now it doesn't find it because there is no more YAML file, so 0 authors. But transform.tools, give me YAML to JSON. First one, bang, copy. Thank you very much. Done. Close the tab. Bob's your uncle. Save. That was quicker. So now we've turned this into JSON. Keystatic is not happy because we didn't include him in that email or that meeting where the decision was made. So we just need to do one thing in the Keystatic configuration. And it's up here where we define like the non-schema. No, we're still in the schema. Above the schema, this is the sort of like collection level stuff. We want the format to be data. And look at this, we can choose between YAML and JSON. So if we say JSON here, now instantly Keystatic is going to find it because it's looking for JSON files. And the data will be here exactly the same. And so that's what I meant by you can decide if you want to use. Some people look at YAML and they confuse with the indentation or the syntax for arrays and stuff. And some others prefer YAML, so you can use both. And as I've demonstrated, you can also use both in the same project. I don't know why you would, but you can. Here we have the authors in JSON, but the categories in YAML. And you can see that they all get processed. They both are some sort of data storage syntaxes. And so the reader API from Keystatic or the content collection reader from Astro is capable of extracting the same information from both. They're both formats, but they're both storing the same data structures, if you know what I mean. And Keystatic reads both and also MarkDoc, MDX. This is the very first time in my professional career that I get a comment on my light theme being cool. Most people roast me and hate light theme, and they're like, Simon, why don't you use they know what, why don't you use Night Owl, the real Night Owl, this one. This is what I use if I work. I agree, it looks nice. But first of all, when I switch between code and stuff, you will what cool kids call flashbanged if you're reading in your bed at 2 a.m. And also now you don't have that problem, but I can see myself reflecting in the display. Everything becomes a mirror because it's very bright in this room. So let's go back to Night Owl. Light. This is the same theme, it just inverts it. Both by Sarah Drasner. Awesome theme. Check it out. So we have authors. We have one author. Let's create another one. I feel like I'm going to create Flex as an author because we know we have the photo. Flex, I guess he's got the same last name. He actually, my dogs actually have a passport and they have Vrashli Otis as the last name. It's funny. Okay, let's go. Where did I have in downloads? I think I had Flex near the top. There you go. Let's select Flex as an author. Flex was a very good boy, dedicated to providing happiness and joy to everyone around him. R.I.P. Little heart. No, not that would have worked, I guess. Social links. His woof everywhere. Great. All right. It might be monotonous, but 2 authors is probably enough to drive our point home. The last thing that we need to do, now we need to decide, do we want the authors to own the relationship with the post? I don't think so. I think the posts are going to select what author and what category. Doesn't mean you can still make a page with authors and list what posts they're involved in, because you can do the reverse query where you get the post and then you filter the posts by author relationship, like we've done already for the. If we look at this page, this is the exploration category, right? And we're able to figure out what posts belong to that. And the way we've done that, if I go to the category slug page, is we've checked, we filtered the posts where the category matches the slug from the route that we get from the Astro params. So what I'm saying is categories don't have any connection with posts, but we can still make a category page that finds the right post. So we're going to do the same. Before we do authors pages, what I want to do next is create a relationship for this author's content type in the post. So when we have posts here, we want, just like this category, we want an author picker as well. So back in our Keystatic config, we are going to update the posts collection. There you go. We have a category here. I'm basically going to duplicate this and change it to author. And the collection is, it should autocomplete. Doesn't it? Come on. No, it doesn't. All right. So now I've done exactly what I said before. I can now select an author. I can search for Flex, Vrashli Otis, and save. And so let's go in all posts. This one is Flex. Let's wrap this stream was definitely Simon yesterday. Enter to save. And the last post is also Simon. So Flex has contributed to 1 post, which is pretty good still. All right. So now every post has a category, I think, yes, and an author. So let's go in our template, front-end template, and we're going to open any post. And we're going to display what, let's look how it's done in the actual site. If I open a post, the author is displayed here before the title. And then we have the stuff. And what are those? Oh, these are share buttons. They're not the social links. The social links would come probably here at the bottom. No, just on the profile page. So in our authors page, let's now build this UI. We're not going to bother about the share things, but we have the updated date. We have the... So right now, it just looks like this. Yeah? Yeah. So we're going to have a narrower container for the blog post. So let's go... Let's go in our posts slug page. All right. Let's go max width 5XL. Oh, 4XL. This is, we might end up using prose here, which might set its own. How does it look? Yeah, okay. But something ain't jiving with why do I have a max grid item sender? Oh, because it's grid. Yeah, we don't want a grid here. And we don't want the max width 3XL. Maybe I copied over a little bit too much. I don't think we need that wrapper div either. All right, so let's look at this. Okay. So now we're going to have the avatar above, and it should be pretty straightforward because we're already querying. Yeah, so that's a great question, and we might have a look at this after I build a bit of UI. Greg is asking about the Astro optimization, which means you have to go through Astro assets. You can place your file with the directory and public path in a way that has that relative path to the assets. The secret, I'm not going to do that right now, but let me just show you that. If you go to images, content, collections, that specific page shows you that if you have a path, where are we? See, if you, in your front matter here, if your relative path sort of points to the right place, the image will be imported and treated like an Astro asset. The one that I got working is when I made, yes, I made my public path like this. Basically like the travel path to the assets where the image is. And then you don't have to import it. You just, because it's saved like this, Astro is smart enough to say, oh, I see what you're trying to do. Let me do the whole optimization. So we'll try doing that. Because you can't have imports inside MDX or markdoc. Well, you can in MDX, but not when you work with Keystatic because it doesn't want to deal with dynamic stuff. Anyway, we'll get to it. Good comment. We will try that after. So, I thought I built that for a second. Yes, we're already querying the data, so our authors should already be in the page now that we've added it to the schema. So let's have a look. Our post here, if I hover, slug, body, collection, data. Yeah, it's any because we're not doing the... Yeah, okay, the type stuff is going to be a bit painful because we haven't defined a config, so we don't really know what's in posts. But we can try to work blindfolded. Before the heading here, let's have a little div, which is a flex items center gap 2. So here we're going to have the, that was probably exactly what we were going to have to. We're going to have this meta strip here, author, updated time, and this is probably calculated from the length of the text. I don't know. All right. So let's have the avatar is its own little flex, I guess. It's probably a figure, I don't know. Let's go with the div. Image. So for the image, the source will be post that data that okay. Now we need to, sorry. Let me backtrack and I'll do a pre-tag here and stringify the output to show you what's happening. Because we're not we are not getting the avatar and stuff like this. We're just getting the string reference. So the author is just going to be a string to the author. Yeah? So how do we do it? We can't just get everything in one go, but we can get the entry of the author's collection with this slug to get that, if that makes sense. You get the post, and then the relationship gives you the slug, which is just enough to do the homework and go get what you need. And here I should do what I've done the other time. If no post, let's be aggressive and say I'm not displaying this. So the developer, so if I try a slug that doesn't exist, oh, it's still a 404, I guess. Oh yeah, because yeah. Actually, Astro does something that bypasses that, I think. So we have the post. Excuse me. Now we want the author. Const author equals await. We want to await the get entry of the author's type, and the slug for that is the post.data.author. Remember, post.data.author is exactly what we want here, right? A few comments. Did I manage to get the font working? The answer is nope. I haven't tried since yesterday. I stopped the stream, worked on other things, and then restarted today. We might have a look later. And other question, are you using Keystatic as a CMS? Yes, this is exactly how I'm using it. The big difference is there's no database, and it doesn't forces me to move everything in the CMS, because instead Keystatic takes your existing content and tries to make it editable. So what I'm editing is not somewhere, yes, I am entering the data in fields like this, which is a CMS, but the file that gets stored is these files in my content project tree, and I can edit them. So if I show you a 2-second demo, we are on my first Markdoc post here. I could edit from the CMS, but I can also go here, my first awesome, and I can save this, and now it's updated here, and it's also updated in the CMS. I don't even have to refresh, it's auto refreshed. So that's pretty cool. Instead of thinking of a CMS, which is like sometimes a big decision shift where like now we move everything into this with the database and the storage, it's basically something that wraps your code base and makes it editable. Hope it helps. All right. What was I saying? Yes, okay, so we got the author slug. So we should be able to, with post.data.author, get entry. We get the entry from this slug. We should get all of the stuff back. So let's go back to the file I was working on here. So now the author is any. Of course, it's any. What? I saw something that was better. No, it's still any in the data. Anyway, trust me, we might get the types working, because it's now really frustrating, and once you have the types, it's so easy with autocomplete. And like I said, you can either use the Keystatic entry type, which gives you the types from the schema. It gives you that schema here. Or you can create the Zod config in the Astro content collection with config.ts. But either way, we want to get these two schemas to talk to each other. We haven't worked it out yet, but this will probably happen one day, and it's going to be awesome. In the meantime, let's try this. Let's stringify our author here. And I'm fully expecting, because we got the thing from the slug, it's going to say it's possibly null or whatever. Did I mean? No, it's not. It's just going to tell me I'm stupid. Okay, so now I'm expecting the author to be that. Perfect. We fetch from that slug, and now we have the avatar, the biography, the social links, and that's super cool. So let's replace this pre tag with image is going to be author dot data dot avatar. And let's be fancy here. Avatar for okay, look at this. It's gonna be huge. It's a bit big. So let's quickly add some classes. Class equals size dot 6, which is once again height and width combined. New utilities in Tailwind 3.4. I want to go rounded full. Why do I put a comma? Rounded full. My avatar is rounded, so it doesn't change, but I want everyone to be rounded. Let's add a little ring 1 of ring black at 5%. Super subtle outline. We need to crank up the size. Let's go size 10. So it's 40 by 40 pixels. And you probably can't see the outline here, but yeah, you can see. It's blue. Why is it blue? I said black 5. Did I make a typo? Ring black. Oh, black. I should have seen it jump to the start. Ring black 5. Yee, that's nice. So on certain avatar, maybe let me black 20 or something. On some avatars, it'll help the image pop a little bit. So we definitely, let me zoom out of this. We definitely need some vertical spacing. Actually, why am I putting style? We're trying to copy that thing. I remove. We'll add some margin top, probably 6 on the H1. Empty dash 6. It's probably 4. Yes, yes, yes. And then Charles Barrett is going to be, oh yeah, and this is a link. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this into a link. And the link is going to go to, tell me, friends. It's going to go to, we haven't created the page, but slash authors slash, how do you have the slug? Remember that data in content collections don't have a slug, but they have an ID. So I can go to author.id because there's that ID here. So slash authors slash the slug is going to be the authors page that we haven't created yet. So now we have a link to the author page that doesn't exist but will soon. And let's add here, what is it? Just a p tag, I guess. Or I guess it, yeah. It's tempting to do a heading tag, but it's not really a heading, it's just a piece of text. P tag, here we want author.data.name, and this will have a class of text large and font semi-bold. How are we doing? Not bad. So our anchor tag here needs to be a flex. Flex items center to vertically align them and gap of 2. Woo! The gap's probably too small. Yeah, let's go gap 4. And let me put my phone on silent because it keeps going. Doop, doop, done. Right. So, yeah, of course it's gonna be 3. I literally never use 3 or 5. It's always 2, 4, 8. I like multiples of. I guess it's multiples of 8 and 4, but behind the scenes, this is like 3 is actually 3 times 8, which is 24. 3 times 4, which is 12, sorry. So these are multiples of 4, all of them, because they're divided by 4, I guess. But I don't know why I never use 3 or 5. I always use 2 and 4 and 8. Anyway. So we have that. This is looking fabulous. Fabulous. let's make a little hover. So we are inside a group. So let's go group. And on our p tag here on group hover, let's go text slate 700. And I know people are screaming in their heads because every time I do a hover, I put a random slate color. Sometimes it's 600, sometimes 8. And this probably makes you fist pump in the, this is why Tailwind is inconsistent. I'm just prototyping. And yes, you could create a, you could go in the config file and create a color which is like text hover, text pressed, whatever. You can do these semantic classes, and that will work really good. I'm not worried, honestly. I know that I guarantee there's places where the hover color is 800 for text for the same thing, but this is easy to go and clean up later. So what do we have? Yes. I'm gonna add a bit more spacing because I think it's too close. So let's go back to MT6. I know the answer is probably 5, but like I said, I refuse to. Okay, and then we have our little bloop, vertical slash pipe, and then update it, and then pipe and the 2 minutes read. We're gonna fake the 2 minutes read for now. So this is our container of the meta information. So we have our avatar. We could have, yeah, let's use the divider actually. Let me show you that. Let's have another p tag that says updated on. And now I want TypeScript because I forgot how it's called. Post.date.pub. Pub date. Keystatic, tell me what we have. Is that a post? I don't have a published date. I don't have a published date. My goodness. Let's add that. We need that date here. I thought we had created it, but maybe that was a different project. Post. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll do it. Pub date. Post date. Published on. Fields.date. Label. So if you're new to Keystatic, what I'm doing now is add a published field date to my Keystatic schema. So instantly now the form will have a published date. And we can put, let's say this post is a couple of months old, 15th of November, and save. So it's called fields post.data.published on. So in my template, I can go here and post that data that published on. And it's going to give me that string here. But I can make a fancy date. What's the best way? Tell me in the comments the best way to do formatting dates without a formatting. INTL format date. Datetime format. Oh, there's the two local stuff. I never know which one's the best. But we have our string. Date, local, something. That. Show me the browser compatibility. Hey, it's all green. It's all green. It's fine. Try it. Oh, this fly to local string. Let's go Australia because I'm in Australia. And then options. But I think I need a date. Usually I use date FNS and I go format, which works really well. So, I don't have to do it up here, but I think I have to turn it into a date, but let's try first. Post that data that published on. I want Deutschland. Oh, I could. Is that the one? Let's see what happens. Yeah, okay. Is it how it works? Okay. So I need to turn my ISO. Basically what I have is a ISO, but just the date, not the time. It's like the year, month. Oh my god. Again, I would know how to do it if I wasn't on stream and I lose my capability. How do I turn this ISO? I think it's ISO format. 2043. Pass ISO something. Can I just go new date and then pass the thing? Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, okay, I'll just go new date, whatever. Thank you. I did not want all of this. Date UTC. No, it's not. Okay. I love this. Corgi training tips, Heather's birthday. All right. Got it, got it. You're telling me I can just pass here the... Well, yes, I can. Okay. Now we want a different format. Options, Copilot. Yes, do that. Let's see what... Hey, that's better. Nice. Hello, Marcel. Fun fact, my dad is called Marcel, Markelos in Greek, and that's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Dad, if you're watching. I know you're not, but if you were watching, happy birthday. And yes, I've reached out in private as well. Lives in Switzerland, far, far away from where I am in Australia. Technically, it's the 7th of February here, but not in Switzerland yet. It's still the 6th. All right, so I have the date. How do they format the date here? June 21. Well, we're going Australian, so but maybe I can do... What are the other options? I love how the autocomplete... Let's go short, so it's probably Nov. 15 Nov 23. That's good to me. That looks good to me. But remember what I wanted to show you is that there is this little pipe here. And I think I will put the font weight on everything because it's the same. Let's do a little bit of inheritance. So instead of having the font weight on the P tag like I had here, and then I have it also on the H1, but it's different nodes, so that doesn't matter. I'm going to put that on this div here. I don't think it's always a good idea, but here it's going to make all the things the same weight. So now I'm going to use this divide utility in Tailwind. So this is our flex wrapper, yes? So it stacks inline the link, the updated it, and then there will be the read time. I want a little pipe in between, and Tailwind has these utilities I haven't used in a long time called divide x. So divide x is on the x-axis. It's going to add a little pipe. I'm going to zoom in. You can see it here. So the thing with divide is you need to handle the internal padding of the elements by themselves because it's going to put it at the end or at the start of every element except the first one, I think. So if we look at the first element, it doesn't have a divide, but then the second one, see, that's the class here. Basically, it's looking for an element that's not hidden and that has a sibling that also not hidden. So every but the first will have this border left. Okay, so we can't handle the, so we need to do the internally, instead of having a gap here, what I'm saying is this and gap kind of combat against each other. So what we can do is here go class px, what we had 2 or 3, px4, and here 2. So now these two work, but the first one that we haven't handled, we can give it a PR of 4 here. And we might need to adjust that responsively, but and so we want a divide a little bit thicker, so 2 pixels. And I think the gap might be a bit too big, but so where we have divide, we can go divide x dash 2. So now let's try 4. Chunky. That's too big. 3 doesn't exist. So let me see the output, and I'll do an arbitrary value for that. So basically, it sets the value here 2 pixels. So I think if I go 3 pixels, yeah, go Tailwind CSS. All right, and the color looks right. They're a bit too high, but that's the line height. I mean, I'm not mad. I think if you wanted to make it smaller, you would change the line height on the whole thing here. Let's try letting none. See, now they look smaller because we've reduced the line height. And how are we doing with the color? The divide, let's make the divide just a little bit darker. So it's the default color is, I think it's the border color, which is 200. So let's go divide slate 400. That's too much. 300. Yes. Good, good, good. Next, we want this. I'm going to eyeball it to 500. The hover doesn't change because it's just text. So for both here, we're going to go text slate 500. And yes, I know this is not, look, I keep saying that, but this is probably be zinc, which is much more reddish. Customizing colors is the page I'm looking for every time. If we look at Tailwind grays, there's 5 grays. Yo, this is not what I'm looking for. Theme. Give me the colors. Customizing colors. That's what I'm looking for. What page is that? Colors. I'm pretty sure that's where I was. Oh, I was after that. Okay. Yeah, slate is the bluest of the gray, and then zinc is middle, stone is the one I was in my head. So looks like the whole thing is using a stone vibe. So I would be much closer. Even that is still not reddish enough. But let's do one thing. Watch this. A swooping change. Everywhere where I've put a dash before and after, because once I changed the slate color, but it picked up the translate utilities, and I think I used the stone instead, like I'm about to do, and so I had classes called trans stone, which were kind of odd. So everywhere where I've used slate, I'm gonna replace it with stone. And unless there's a place where there's the config file or theme, now it's all Astro templates. So I'm going to replace everything in one swooping change. And now we've switched to the stone. Let's see if you see a difference. It's gonna be subtle, but our blue gray is now warm red gray. Yeah, I can see it. I don't know if you see it on stream. Update on invalid date. Yo. Why though? Oh, I know why, because I haven't set a date. Okay, so the correct thing to do here, I guess if it's not set, it's gonna be invalid. So here, I guess, if I go why? I don't like how it removes. Pretty date. Yes, I meant that. Can I change by clicking? Oh, I can probably by go like this. Change spelling. Yes. No, it's still a string, but it's not. I gotta be better at dates. But let's go. Let's do the other thing, the other enforcement rule, which is to go in the Keystatic config. And the published on here, we're going to make it published on validation. Is there no such thing? It looks like the fields date doesn't have validation. Yeah, no, it does. It just, let me restart the window. Fields that date to you copy. Yeah, validation is required, true. Okay. So if we had done that ahead of time, if I go in all the posts, see now if I save, it's gonna say, oh, I was really expecting it to force me to select a date. Save, and this one has a date already, and this one has a date in the future, which is kind of weird. Okay, so now we have a date on each, updated in the future, coming back to wrap the stream. So now we have this against this. That's not bad. We can make it even less accessible in our post slug by making the color 400. What about 300? Yeah, no, that's too much. But that looks very close to me, and it's guaranteed that, well, actually, I think the DevTools tells us that if it's, see, contrast. I can't move my mouse, but you can see the accessibility. In the middle, there's that accessibility separator heading, and you can see the contrast is 2.56, which is not enough. So I imagine if we go in the accessibility tab, no, that's the tree. Yeah, this needs to be more dark, but the designer has decided so. Sorry, I'm not trying to to rant on the theme. This is a great theme. Next, we want the description here. I think I've called it description. Description, yes. So behind the heading tag, oh, I have the description already. This is the thing. Yeah, it is here. Okay. So let's display the content below. This is going to be interesting. So the content is markdoc, and I think that in the way Astro gets it, it gives us this render function here, which is a promise that you need to await, and then it gives you a content, uppercase content component, and then headings which you can use to, this is when you have like multiple headings on a page and you want to make a jump link to each, which is very useful. So Astro has that, the render, you gotta call this render, and then it gives you that content component, which then is the markdoc renderer, which is very cool. So before I do that, I'll just look at the comments. Does Keystatic plan to add calculated fields like creation, last modified, timestamp? I haven't heard the discussion, but I know that Keystone, which the same people built, has that field. It's called a virtual field where you can do computed calculations like this. That seems to me pretty useful. I wonder if you could do this. No, you can't really. Wait, there's probably ways you can do it yourself. But yeah, the fields, I think that's a good idea that I'll talk with the team to not have just the publish date, but have like the last update. Because internally, Keystatic already has that concept of draft, and it saves stuff, autosave before you save, so it probably would be able to tell you when that last autosave was done. So I think there's a way to do this. Other question, it's not a question, it's a statement, which I really appreciate. Hey, Luciano. Another person from Brazil, because of you and now I love Tailwind. I love to hear this. I'm never here to force people to use Tailwind, but I definitely love sharing my excitement for it, and I think it's a great solution. So when I help people like it, makes me happy. Thanks for saying that. So what was I doing? Yes, render that thing. Render. There, render. We're going to do that. So you have to, because it's a wait, an async function, you have to do it inside the backticks here, which is your JavaScript server code. So let's do this. We're going to destructure the content component by awaiting post that. You can see we have that data, which is any, unfortunately, because we haven't set the types. You still have the body, but the body is like the string, the markdoc string, which is not very necessarily useful. Or you can use that if you want to parse it manually, I guess. Actually, let me show you that. If I keep switching, flip-flopping, let's go before all of this, and I'll have a pre-tag and go JSON.stringify post that body. And I think that's going to be the entire, talking about bunnings, you can see here, it's like the string, the unparsed string. So if you want to build your own renderer, you can use that. But this is not going to work. Maybe I can await. No, I can't await it. Yeah, this is the render function, is what you call to get your content component destructured. Post that render. So if I just stored a variable like content, it would give me an object with a content component and then the headings. So I can destructure the content component here already. And now this is just like we have base layout as a component. I have this content component here, literally like this. And this contains the whole markdoc of the file. So if I save, you can see that now it is parsing properly. Let's go to another post where I had some I didn't use any bold or anything anywhere. I think I did in this one. Yeah, there you go. You can see that I have the bold. It's the reason the heading 3 is small like the rest is that is Tailwind that resets everything. But believe me, if I hover over it, the H3 is a H3. And so now we've entered the territory of the sort of space where you can't add a class to that heading 3 because it comes from MarkDoc and it's like rendered WYSIWYG. So this is the perfect place where you would use something like the typography plugin. I would never use the typography plugin at the root level for everything in the site, although you can, but it's then you're going to be fighting against the plugin for everything. But that blog post copy is the perfect place to use it. So we're going to install that. Let me create a bit more space here. I'm going to add the typography plugin to my project. What's going on? I think the server is not stopped. Yeah, it wasn't stopped. And it's already done. npm run dev again. We're running. So now I go in the Keystatic config. No, the Tailwind config. And I'll import the, let's call it, that's not my kids are at school. Import typography plugin from @Tailwind. And now in the plugins array, I can register the typography plugin. And now nothing has changed, but I have now access to this prose class that will give me a baseline of super sharp typography. I gotta say, because everyone uses the typography plugin, I can now recognize a web. And you can never tell if a site was built with Tailwind unless it uses the Indigo 600 color. But the typography, I can smell it from millions kilometers away if it's the default prose, because it has this very unique colors and spacing that you'll see. Like I'll put it on and this is going to turn a slightly different color, and it's got a very signature, maybe not enough content here, but if you've seen it, you will recognize it very quickly. So the way it works, pardon me, is in my post/slug, I don't think I can add a class directly here, but I'll wrap this in a div with the class of prose. And so prose comes from the typography plugin, and it's going to add a huge amount of styling on the HTML tags directly for what's inside it, which is why you don't want to put it in the, you don't want to put that in the root level, because it's literally going to put opinions on absolutely every element, H1, table headings, OL, UL. And you can learn a lot about CSS by reading this. Just the fact that it's using where to keep the specificity really low, because the where selector resets the specificity. So that means you can override all of these classes with utilities directly. And I guarantee you that most of you, 99% of you, will discover CSS properties, like stuff like this. Discover CSS properties that you did not know existed or you'd never really used. It's quite interesting to have a look. All right, I'll stop scrolling, but you can see a lot of work has gone through this. And so as a result, now if I look at the post, I have this typography that is taken in place. And so let's go in one of the posts and this is probably a bad idea, but I'll copy all of this and I'll go in my first awesome post in Keystatic and try paste that. It might set something as bold if they were bold. Yeah, see that heading? Oh yeah, no, it's just a bold paragraph, so that's fine. Sometimes the heading get bold because of the font weight. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. I'm going to save this post and look at it again. This is the description. And so, what is it, H4? Okay, so, you know, I don't want to rant again, but this is a H2. This is H1 for the page. Basically, headings in the post should be technically H2, not H4s, for the hierarchy of the page. Maybe on the design there is an H. Is that the H2 here? That's definitely the H1. Yeah, it's a paragraph. And so there's no heading 2 and 3. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's an H4, but let's turn it into in our CMS. Let's go find it. And I'm going to turn that into H2. Bloop. This one is just a paragraph text, and this one is H2 as well. And again, I do that in the CMS, but in a real world scenario, I would probably have come here and let's make it back in H4. I would have gone click, click, save. So now, look at this. We have this base typography, which already looks much better. And because we're using the what is it called? Zinc? No, stone prose, we probably might want to lean into this gray scale that we have and go prose dash stone. So what this one does is reset all the grays to using colors that are like the stone color. Not just the headings, a lot of things. So prose does all the spacing, font sizes, everything. And then prose stone is going to skew towards the grayscale that you've selected for the project, which for us is stone. So subtle, but now this has a subtle hint of red in the gray. Are we able to see it on the... Nah. What's the button? There's a button where you can change the shift. Alt, yeah. Yeah, you can see it's in the ray. It's like in the red thing. Well, if I was switching this to prose that slate, which is the other end of the spectrum, now if I inspect this again, it's alt click. Now we are in this very blue gray. Did you see the difference? The other one was sort of like something like that. It's very hard to see, but it is there. Okay, so how are we going? Any questions? So we've got, obviously we don't have the image here, or these images, but these are going to be, we might be able to tackle that now because this is the magic moment, I guess. So where does image, they come after Creative Spark 2 paragraphs. Creative Spark, 1-2 paragraph. So actually this thing was like the caption. I don't know why it came up as a bold paragraph. It was the fig caption. So if we look at this component here, let me close the, no, I was gonna close the sidebar. This is a figure, and inside of it there is a flex, I guess, or grid. Yeah, it's a flex container. And I imagine, okay, so it's like inline styles to calculate the width. So it's basically a wrapper. Think of it as a container, and then a repeating series of images inside. And then there's a caption. So the figure is 2 images, but then the caption is common to both, if that makes sense. And I imagine there could be 3, 4 images, 1. So to me, this, if you were to build that in the CMS, you would have you would need a component that has the context of a wrapper, which is I think we'll use CSS grid, because then we can go autofill and then tell it min-max. Basically tell it to decide how to make the grid based on number of items. But we could use flex wrap as well. So yeah, you want you want a component that has the parent structure, so the grid container or the flex parent, and then you want to be able to add multiple one-to-many children. And so I'm thinking of as a compose component was the parent component and then the child component. And this is exactly how the repeating field, the content block, works in Keystatic in the new mark doc and the new MDX fields. So let's try to do that. Instead of just having an image and an array of images that might work, let's try that. Because the other approach would be to have an array field with images. So maybe I can perhaps show you both. I'm trying to think of the advantage of having the repeating one. There's not really an advantage in this case, but all right, so let me show you the two options. In my Keystatic config, for the post collection, where we have the content field, which is the MDX thing, remember we have this content components here where we said do stuff here. Well, let's do stuff here now. Let's have an image gallery, which is going to be a, I guess let's meet I'll show you and explain. The fly landed on the mic. You heard it leave. It went. Pew. Let me go to docs.mil quickly. If you've never seen docs.mil, it's you can search any npm package and get all the types definitions. So content components. We have access to these different type of content components inside the WYSIWYG field. Wrapper is content that has children inside, so like a fancy block quote, and then the node inside is the text or anything that takes another component inside. A block, which is what I'm using now, is a component with props but self-closing, so it doesn't have children nested inside. Inline is the same, but at the inline level, so think of it as like a span element. And then mark lets you literally use a little HTML mark wrapper, so you can do things like highlight or give some fancy treatments to some bit of text that you select. So basically the way it works is you select a bit of text like this and then add the marks, the options that you want. And repeating is the other one I want to try. It's a little bit more fancy, and I'm not sure there's a lot of gain, but just to try how it works. So let's start with the block component that doesn't take children. And let me close that page and close that page. We'll keep that open. So block. Oh my God, go away. So block, I need to import from Keystatic core components. It's going to, as always, have a label, image gallery. Oh my God, no. Okay, now Copilot's trying to do too much. Go away. My God. So a block needs at least, it needs at least a label and a schema. If I have an empty schema, this is now a valid component block. And what do I mean by valid component block? Is now in my content, 2 paragraphs after here, I have access to this drop down here, and there's an image gallery. Or I can also go, like if you use in Notion or many apps, you go / like in Slack, and you have this autocomplete. We have this z-index issue to fix here. And funnily enough, I think our image tag is, yeah, no, it's here. So see, it doesn't have the same formatting because I didn't add a icon and description, but you can do that. A gallery of images. I mean, it's not very adding much value, but this is how you do it. Now it has that, and if you add an icon, then if you add an icon, then it's going to put it there. So let's try this. Lucid. Well, let's have an image. It's a gallery, so there's more than one image. Images? Nah, okay, well, let's get that. I'll copy the SVG. Let's close. No, let's keep Lucid because we might reuse it. So, icon, it's a React element. So I think, I don't know if you call it like this. What are you not happy about? Oh yeah, I think it's that. It's not a... Yeah. It's not a function, inline function. It's... So now we're not in Astro, we are in Keystatic, which is real React. Wine cap. Wine cap is a great wine join and wine cap. All right, so let's look at what it looks like now. Hey, look at this. Image gallery, gallery of image, and we select this, but there's nothing to edit and nothing to add because it's an empty schema. As soon as we add schema fields, we're gonna have an edit button here. So what did we say? Ask question, because this I'm discovering with you here, and there's probably a lot of learnings. We want an array of images, and we want a caption. Yeah? Yeah. So... where am I closing everything? I'm eventually gonna arrive at the... What? Cancel. All right, let's search for Keystatic config instead. Oh, I was in there. I got thrown out by the icon. So the schema here. Side note, you probably want to, if you have an SVG like this, you probably want to have it somewhere else and import it so your config file doesn't get too long. You can break each collection into a separate file and then import it and organize the schema really nicely. So here the schema is going to be images, which is fields.array. Yes, Copilot, go away. And then inside, we want an object or just images. Fields.object. Now let's just go field.image, label, image, and we're gonna do the directory and public path again. Copilot is amazing, but sometimes when you try to teach stuff, it gets in the way. So I've created an images array, which is a sort of a repeating structure, and inside there's an image field. And the other thing that we need, let's add some label to our images. We're not gonna have an item label. The other thing we want is a caption, which is just field.text. Label, caption. Okay. So now we should, when we use an image gallery, how did I call it? when we use an image gallery custom component, we should have an edit button with these fields. So let's try it out. Let's go back to where we always go, here. Let's find our image gallery. Bang. And now we have an edit button. And if I edit, we have the repeatable list of images. So let's choose an image. I'll go with the nice DALL-E images. That's one. We can probably improve the UX here, the UI, but the important thing is it lets you do the work that you want to do. Select this one. And the caption is DALL-E -generated images, which look really cool. All right, and let's save that. So remember what I said about the block component type. That is, it doesn't have children, it's a self-closing element. And so as a result, what it saves is a component that is self-closing. So in MDX, it would look like a React component that has the /closing bracket at the end with no children. And in MarkDoc, the syntax is slightly different. It's like curly braces, %sign. But here's our image gallery. That's the opening tag. And there's all the array of images. Oh, I don't know how that's gonna work. But the image has the image name has all that mess inside it, which might be challenging the rendering a bit. We'll see. And then we have a caption prop, and then the self-closing tag. If it was not a self-closing tag, you would have content here, and then you would have the closing image gallery like this. But here, let me go back to how it was. I think that's how it was. Z, 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 undo. Yeah, we have the closing tag. I'm not happy with the the image. This is literally the name of the file. But your clients are going to do that if you build a website for them. So let's see how it works. So now it seems to be working because if I go and look at here, the two images are here. So now if we look at the front end, you might think, oh, amazing. Does it mean I have an image gallery showing up? No, it doesn't. Because there is this image gallery tag that is not defined. And this is where, now I don't know, you have to define the MarkDoc config. I don't think passing the component itself is going to be enough. Undefined tag. So if we go in the Astro collection, feedback for Astro, I always want on the homepage to go to comment/. Tailwind CSS used to be the same, and everyone complained, and now you can go comment/ from the homepage. In Astro, you need to go to documentation before you can go comment/. MarkDoc. So we're using MarkDoc, and if you want to see why I read this, I'm not going to cover this now. But basically, there is a MarkDoc configuration to do. If you want to connect UI components, use Astro components as MarkDoc tags. So see, there is this markdoc.config.mjs, and then you can define your components if you want an aside. So I think we need to do this. Let's try that at the root level. markdoc.config.mjs. No. Okay. We're going to copy that and create our own derived. Okay, so importing define markdoc.config and component from this package that we've installed at the start of the stream. And we want a image gallery component. So we need a render All right, Doug. And we're going to create this image gallery now. And then we need this set of render and we set of attributes. So let's get rid of that. We don't have an aside. So of course it's going to say, I don't understand this image gallery. It doesn't exist. Okay. So I think, but actually, I wonder if you have to do this. Because when you use MDX, you can pass the components directly. The other option that I'm thinking of, which I much prefer, because this sets it globally for MarkDoc, is if I go to post slug, is here you can go components. No, not what? Components. And you can pass an image gallery, which doesn't exist yet. If you can do that, so what I'm gonna try to do is I'm going to try to comment all of this out for now. And I'm going to create a content. I'm going to create a component and see if we can do this. Image gallery.astro. Let's do it dumb, simple, and render a hello tag. It might need to receive props. Type image gallery props equals images. So it's an array of strings, yes, because the images are just a path to the image, and then a caption. And let's try to just stringify that. Undefined tag. Yeah, so it looks like it needs to be defined. Well, that's not cool. I don't really want to be defining the MarkDoc, but it looks like we might need to. So we create the image gallery, which comes from components image gallery.astro that we've created. And the attributes, they should be mirror the props. So we have images. It's an array, but an array of string. Type. What do we have? It's not just an array though, it's an array of strings, so I don't know. And then we have caption, which is definitely a type of string. Oh, okay, it's happy now. Let's see if it stringifies the whole thing. It does, look at this. So it worked, we've defined. So now my other question is, can I remove that here? Well, yeah, because I haven't passed it. Oh, it wasn't working before because I didn't pass it. So now obviously what I've done, I've defined the mark.config and it works, but it's defined every time you use the content component, it will have this. And there's a big chance that you have another content type where you don't want an image gallery and it's gonna be attached there as a custom component. So what I wanted to try is, can I pass that and not have this? So I'll comment that out, break things again, but I'll try in my post slug to import that image gallery. And so now I pass this just here. If that works, this is much better. Please work, please work, please work, please work. It's not working. Okay. So with MDX, you can do that. When you use MDX in Astro, you can pass it there. I remember talking to the Astro team on Discord and mentioning that I wanted to be able to have bespoke stuff instead of having to do it in the Astro config, which is global. Pass markdoc variables. You may need to pass variables to your content. Yes, but I want to do this without defining. To make a variable global to all markdoc, you can use the variables attribute from your markdoc. And I don't want to do this. So apologies if I do it wrong. There might be a way to not define the markdoc config. So that makes it global. I really don't want to do this. Anyway, we'll do it for now, but I might get back to you if I find a way to do it, because I find it much better to do each time you use the content component, it has this specific. I thought that would work. Let me just, out of curiosity, restart the server. Or is it gonna bomb as soon as I refresh this page? Yeah, okay. All right, fine, I'll do it. I'll uncomment this and save. And so now we're passing a component that's already available, so I think we probably don't want to do this, although does it matter? So let's get rid of that and rid of that. And so just to recap, we have defined a custom image gallery tag in a markdoc config. We tell it what component to use, and we tell what props are. And so now the front end knows how to treat it. So what we're going to do is we want to have a grid or flex, and then pass the images for each. We can map over these images and then have the caption. So let's do that quickly. And then we'll try the other technique with the repeating block. So post slug. No, what am I doing? It's not post slug, it's the image gallery. So we receive these props, we've done that contract. So now we can do something like a figure. And then we'll have the, yeah, okay, go away. I'll take that, that's useful. We have the props that caption. Here it just uses the first image, so let's see what it looks like. It takes the first image and then the caption. So it's already sort of working, but what we want to do instead is to go props that, okay, I can stop typing and just thinking out loud and you listen to me and do the thing. So there's something, no, there's no key. We don't want a key. We're not in React. You're doing well, component. But what is props that images that map image? We're not using the index image. Yes, yes. You forgot to close that. You were close. Okay, so now we're showing all our images plus the one that we need to remove. But it's putting the caption for each, which I don't really want. I honestly would rather have an empty tag than a wrong alt. But maybe when we did the images, it could have been an array of objects with image source and then alt tag. Yes. So what do we have now? We have both images. So flex, wrap, gap 2. Class equals max w small rounded lg. Let's try and make them tiny. Look at this. This is sort of looking cool. They're square because they were generated by DALL-E. And let's increase the gap. Yeah, okay, okay, 4. Why is the gap so big here? Okay, so see now this is a thing with when you used to work with Tailwind and have absolute control on everything, you're like, why is the gap? Because pros will set opinionated spacing and things for you, and then you start. That's what I meant, that if you put pros on the whole site, you will constantly be like, why is my empty 2 way too big? It's because the pros is like throwing stuff. So the Tailwind Labs team has added a not pros utility. If you have something like a component block that lives inside a pros WYSIWYG output, so you can go not pros. And this is the main reason. Not pros does nothing. It doesn't output any CSS, but it's a flag. And what I mean by that, if I go in my post slug and we look for the pros class, you will see that every single class is saying not pros. Where it's not pros. All of them. Not pros. Not pros. I can scroll anywhere. They all check that it's not pros. So basically, if it has a class not pros, it doesn't match the selector, and so the styles are not applied. Pretty clever, I gotta say. So we added not pros. So when you hover it, you're like, oh, it's not doing anything, because it is not doing anything. It's just used as a flag that is used smartly. So now we get the correct gap. I don't like how this works. So let's change that. We could do it with flex too, but let's go with grid. Let's try something fun. We're gonna keep the gap and we're going to go grid. So by default, and I will get rid of the max width here. By default, grid is be 1 column and use the whole thing. And what we don't want to do is do grid calls to. I mean, that works, but it's not going to always be 2. And you definitely cannot, even if this sounds cool, you cannot do something like if you were in template tags, do something like props.images.length. As much as cool as it sounds, this Tailwind will not recognize this string and not output anything. It might change in the future. Adam and team are working on some pretty cool improvements for Tailwind 4. If dynamic classes becomes a thing, I think Tailwind is going to be absolutely impossible to beat. This is one of the frustrations where you can't do, so you have to do lookup objects. But CSS might help us here. Grid calls. So we want to set the columns to repeat, auto, fill. Yeah, that by itself is not gonna do, grid calls. It's not going to do much by itself, I think. But then we can say min max. So we want to autofill the columns and we want min max. So we want a range. Max is 1 FR, which is all of the space. So if there's only 1 column, it takes everything. And then the min can be whatever width we allow it to become small. So if I go 200 pixels, 1 FR, I believe that now it's like, whatever I was, is there 3? Why is there 3? Oh, okay, because it can fit one more. No, I've done something wrong. I don't want 3 columns, certainly. Is it auto fit? Okay. So look at this. We're going to have responsive grids without media queries. Basically, as soon as there's not enough space, which is 200 pixels for the image, it will refuse to go below, and so it'll jump. And if we had a bigger screen or max width container, I've just noticed one thing, that max width container has a prose max width container, so it's offset to the left. So in the post slug, in the prose here, I will go max width none, because I'm like, hey, we're making the max width ourselves. So now it's using a little bit more of the available space. It means it's a bit wider, but at least it's centered. So the cool thing with AutoFit is we don't have to specify the amount of columns it's going to. And maybe you might think that 200 is too small. You're like, no, at this point I want to switch. So image gallery, here you would go maybe 260. And so now it switches whenever 260 is the amount of space. And this will be calculated with the gap and everything, so it's really cool. If the gap is bigger, this might jump back to, no, let's make it even bigger, 20. Now it jumped because it needs to fit in 260 pixels, including that gap in the middle. So AutoFit, repeat, will repeat the amount of elements, and then you don't have to worry ever again. I think that's a, what's the gap in the real? Yeah, 8 is pretty bang on. So I think I like that. Although that's looking pretty big, so maybe we can go back to what's an acceptable size. I feel like we can go a bit smaller than this. So let's go back to 200 maybe. Yeah. And so Tailwind by default, Tailwind grids is, if we look at the output, the default, all of these default, you can see that they use repeat min max, and they go from 0 to where it is. Yes, it repeats the number of columns and then min max 0 to 1 FR. So basically it does the same that we've done, but instead of auto fit, which takes the amount of possible thing that can fit, it says, no, you split it between 6 equals column. If needs be, they're all 0 pixels, or they're all 1 FR, which is the same amount. So the grid columns in Tailwind only let you do symmetrical or balanced columns and rows if you want. And if you want to do fancy stuff with different values, that's where you dive into the world of CSS grid. And honestly, you can also write CSS, because CSS grid, if you want to use grid areas or named grid lines and stuff, it becomes pretty weird to do with the arbitrary value syntax. But for that, I think that works. AutoFit, min max, 200, 1 FR. So everything is going to be within that range. If it's too small, it jumps to the next line to create space. So to demonstrate that, I will add one more image. So let's go edit here, and let's add one more image, and we're going to choose this one. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm without any worry in the world, I go back to my thing and I know that it's there. I feel like the gap, yeah, the gap is here is good, but then it's too big for the size available. So what I want to do is go gap 4, and then from the SM breakpoint, gap 8. So now we have a smaller gap on mobile slash smaller, and then it's gonna bloop up here. Okay, now let's treat this with some margin top and very light color and text medium. So a fig caption, class, text, now font, medium, text, stone 500, and empty 8. Probably too much margin top. Okay, I love. Yeah, I thought I was looking at my design and I was like, it's confusing me with the real thing, which is always where you want to end up. Okay, I think the text is smaller. Text SM, and it's semi-bold. Any questions? Please ask in the chat. Oh my god, semi-bold and medium. That was a huge jump. I know why. I know why, because I don't have the 600. Let me go in the index, that Astro layout. It's called base. 400, 600, 700. Let's add 500. So when I had font medium, it was actually staying font 400. That's why it didn't look like I wanted. It's a bit late in the project to realize that mistake, but hey. So now if I go medium again, which is 500, it should look more 500-ish. Yes, that's what I was going for. And you can see that there's a lot of vertical spacing in this. Because we have said not prose in our design, our component becomes very Tailwind, as in you control everything. There is no spacing. So look at this. If I remove the not prose class, now there is the sort of spacing that the typography plugin tries to do. So what do they do? 2M, 2M. Interesting, they use M's and not Rems. It makes sense because it's based on the... Well, I mean, we can do that. Let's recreate that with MY 2M. Whoa. Oh, collapsing mat. Yeah, but... Yeah, no, that's what would work. So why is the margin not collapsing? Oh, okay, because when I go not prose, there's also the images that have their own margins. Okay. So let's, and the images themselves. No, but we don't want that. I think I'm happy with that. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go bigger. Let's go 4 M's. Yeah, so that looks good. Honestly, you could stick with Rems. I was just experimenting with like, so what's for MY16? That's 4 Rem, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, friends, look at this. We have a post. We have a custom image gallery that takes a certain amount of images and has a caption. That's pretty cool, isn't it? We've recreated sort of, that's, I guess, is just an image. I don't know if it's the cover image because it's at the start of the post. Let's look at a few posts and see if they all have that image to start with. Let's try the beach volleyball here. Oh, so there's different layouts that you can choose from. Okay, interesting. So if the layout is split, yep, the image is there. That is cool. You know what? Let's do this. How do you think we would do that? Let me check if people are on the, yes, there's 7 people watching. Let me check the time. It's 11:15 a.m. How would you go about doing this? There's 2 layout options. Yeah, there's stack, and then there is split. Pretty cool, huh? This is at the post level. So what my Spidey sense tells me is at the post level in the schema, probably before the category, we have like the important intro publish date, and then here, layout field that select. A select field, I think, would be appropriate. So the field select takes a label like everything. Page, layout, description, select your blog post header layout. And then we have options, which is an array of objects with label and values. Label, stack, value, stack. And the second one is label split, value, split. It's not happy because it wants a default value, which matches one of the values up here. So we go stack by default, and then we add the split. So now if I go back to any post in the, like my first awesome post, it should have a page layout, select to stack, and I can pick stack or split. And you could argue maybe radio buttons make more sense because you see all the options. Do we have a radio? Is there? No, there's no radio button because I guess this select covers that use case. So now let's go in another post by Flex. Is it Flex who wrote this one? Yes. So I just want to copy, let's copy the content of this one. I feel like it's the same. Is that the creative stuff? Yeah, it's all the same text. Okay, so for this post, I'm going to paste all of that. I'm going to copy this. Let's have an image gallery. You can type, I forgot to show you this, image gallery. Let's edit it. We'll add, let's just add one image, see what happens. My expectation is that it's using the full width because it goes to 1 FR, from 200 to 1 FR. I would like to verify this. Doesn't need to be bold. And save. So first of all, let's have a look at that post, call another post. And let's look at, yeah, okay, so the image gallery is going to take the, and you might think, well, that's a bit too much. You never want it to be so big. Maybe you want the image to be 480 max, yeah? Image gallery. I think you can replace this here with 400 pixel. And so now it's, if there's only one, it's going to max out at 400, which actually is not a bad idea. What about 50%? So it's half of the gallery max, if there's one. As soon as there's more than one, it's not going to be a problem. So if we go to visit our other post, my first post, it is a problem. I lied. So we want 1 FR. Okay, I need to work out what I've done wrong here. Okay, let's leave it like this. So what I want to do is try to switch that to the split layout. So we've created our selector, and then in here, this one is going to have the split layout. So obviously nothing's gonna change because we need to implement that, but in our post template, so pages, post slug, you know what? We had that category page where I've made that grid here. Let's see if I can steal that. And this would probably be a split layout. Actually. Now, I would probably have like a split split header and stacked header and then import the components, but let's try to do it inline for now. So this is not changing, I believe. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, it's wider actually. Well, that's weird because oh no, okay. Okay, I want to grab this whole I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting tired. So let's go in at post slug. And you know what? It should be a header anyway. So if the post layout is split, we want to use what I've got in the clipboard, and if not, we want to use that. Let's try that header. And then I don't want Copilot to head me, it's gonna do my heading. Post that layout dot no post that data dot layout equals split question mark. Now don't help me, Copilot, go away. And then or something here. Oh my god. I wish there was like you could press shift to ignore Copilot for a second while you brain. So in here we want the split layout. Actually the opening parenthesis is open. So in here I want this. Oh my god. That's the post, that data, that title. And that is the post, that data, that description. And then on the right, we have the post, that data, that image. And otherwise, we want that, but I need the closing div as well. Yeah, that I would need to restructure that in components. Let me add a closing div. Okay. So now I've probably broken everything. If we have that, we render that. Otherwise, we render that. I think there's one closing too many. So that's our header that needs to be refactored. Oh, and quick Astro tip. see I've added a comment here. Let's go to, well, there you go. We have a stack title, but then we've added this. See how I did the to-do refactor this thing? This comment will actually make it into the markup. I don't know where. No? Maybe they've changed that. You used to, if you wanted a comment to not make it to the output, you would have to do the JavaScript comment. I don't know. Yeah, you would have to do this, like this. Maybe that's changed. Anyway, let's keep our to-do. Yeah, I'll keep it like this just in case. All right, so what's happening here? We really want to get rid of that here because we've moved it up. So now, this is the split layout. But if I go to a blog post that doesn't have the split layout, it should be stacked like this. So we want to bring this, and that's why I mean that you need to move things in component, because we don't want to start copying this whole inline. This is like the blog posts. This is the blog post meta. That, and I would definitely want to reuse that. I'm making a big mess here, but like post meta Astro. Just paste that here. Obviously, it needs the info about the author. Oh, it needs the author and also the post for the date. I mean, that means that we can probably fetch the author in that component instead of our post. But no, because I'm not gonna do this, because we want to use the author. We want to use the author data. Yeah, if I was moving this, we would search the author data in the author post meta component. But then in this page, we still use some author stuff, I think. Do we? No, we don't. Okay. So maybe we can do this. Let's do that quickly. Components. Is post meta the... Yeah, I'll try some. I'll make a post directory. And then post meta. I don't know why I feel like I need to be organized. So now we're going to flip-flop between the two pages. I'm going to get that and put it here, which means I need to get that as well. Yeah. And we need to get the author string that we'll receive. Post meta props. We're going to get a string for the author, and then let's get that. Const author. I'm grabbing this from the props that I'm going to receive soon. Equals astro.props as post meta props. Author data. No, I don't want to change this one. I want to change this one. author slug. And so we want we're going to pass the author slug to this, and then we're gonna get it from Astro content collection based on that. And we also want to receive the post date published on, which is a string. It's a dates, ISO string. I don't know exactly what it is. And so let's get that here as well. Pardon for the refactoring. Published on. So now we're using what's passed. That looks good. So we need to get our author, like I have possibly undefined. Okay, so maybe here we can do if no author, throw a new error. The fact that Copilot knows what I want to do. Okay, so now there's no more problems. We just need to pass these two things to the component. So let's try that. In our post template, let's get rid of all the things we do. We don't want to get the author. We don't want to get the pretty date. We're doing this somewhere else. So we get the post. Why do we get the get static path here to generate dynamic routes? And then we receive the slug, get the content. And so now we're going to replace this whole thing here. So if I remove it, the whole post meta is gone. But now I can go post meta that it found, and it should tell me that it's missing stuff. Why is it not? Why don't I have auto-completion? Post meta. I would assume because of I don't know why the author slug is not being passed. We want to pass these two things. I love the question about, do you have loud birds in the background? Yes, I absolutely do. I have the windows open because it's so hot in summer here. And yes, there's lots of birds in Australia where I live. I have, if it's too distracting, I've experimented with Crisp AI, which kind of removes the background noise. I've also experimented with putting music, and then I got YouTube copyright flagging me and trying to take down stuff. So I'm not putting music anymore, lesson learned. Yeah, if it's too distracting, let me know and I'll try to invest in some things. Published on is post.data.published on. What? Published on. Okay, so now we passed the stuff, but I'm reload window. I don't know why it wasn't complaining. Okay, good to know that it's okay, the birds. Thank you. I was honestly expecting, because we have this post meta. Did I import for the right spot? Post meta, components post meta. Why is it any? Post meta props. Astro.props as post meta props. These things know what they are. I don't need the get collection here. So now it's back. Look at this. I don't know if I explained it very clearly. Basically, we moved our post meta information here. And so we moved all the calculation of the pretty date and all that stuff here, because this layout is common to both the split layout and the normal layout. So now we have it in the stacked layout. I don't know what this gap is. We'll work it out. But we also have it in the split layout. Wait, we don't, because I haven't put it on, but we'll put it on now. So if I go to my post slug page, just like we're doing that, I can do the exact same. So this one here is the stacked layout. And this one here is the split. This is useless comment because it says it just above. But we'll leave it. Bless you, Doug. Can you see him today? He just goes behind the corner of the couch there. It's just off camera. He loves it. That's his spot. Completely forgot what I was doing. Yes, split layout needs the meta before there's data title. Why is it in a div? Can this go here? Okay, so it's obviously taking too much space. Well, how are they doing it? It's just the container is bigger and they're not called Vrash layouts. Alright, let's make the split layout a bit wider. Hey. I just realized that flex is distorted. It looks a bit chunky. Look at this. Chunky boy. We can fix that very easily in our post meta in one place because we now have a component. I set the square size, but I don't go object cover. So now it's gonna make it nice and not stretched. Okay. And there's the spacing here. So if you look in the other place, if we look in the other post meta that we use here, there's empty 6 on the H1 below. And you know what? That in itself is also the exact same. Is it? Maybe not. I don't know. So this should probably also be a component, title and description, whatever prototyping rockets. Okay, so look at this. Now I choose this post, and if I go in Keystatic and I change it to stack, and I save, and I go back, now it's stacked. Back to split. Bang! I like that. I do like it. Honestly, I guess this stack thing, the problem is it should stack earlier, because this is definitely not nice. So let's just maybe go in our split layout here, and instead of MD, let's switch to 2 columns at LG. So it stacks before things are problematic. And the big problem was here. MD might work. Yeah, it does flex, but what I might do instead, even for the post, it may. Yes, the other problem is that thing. Let's go. Gap 12. Is 12 a thing? And then LG gap 32. So that's more acceptable. Now the only problem is that thing, but we can probably make it flex wrap to fix it. So that happened in the post meta. All I need to add here is flex wrap. So if it's getting too clogged up, it's going to wrap. And obviously, so you'd think the line, we've made the line height really small to have these little spacers nice. So we can't increase the line height, but we can change the vertical gap. Gap Y 4. So now there's vertical gap if it needs to, but there's no horizontal gap because we're handling it with the internal padding for the divide. I don't know if it looks silly, but it looks better than when it's crunching on itself, yeah? I think. Maybe slightly less. What happens if we go gap Y 2? Probably too close. It kind of works. Okay, so we have a thing responsive. All right. So the other thing is that big ass, oh, let's not say that. This big thing here, which I think is the padding bottom. There's some padding that we've put, PB28. Yeah, we had that in the categories page, I think. I don't remember why. But we set this big padding here. And I think that was a mistake. Because it's way too big. So let's just look at the design. There's that empty top here. That only happens on the split layout. If we go to another post that has not the split layout, there is no separator, yeah? Are we clear on this? So we want to update our split layout to have that thing. Our split layout in the post slug here has so I could go border B, border slate, no stone 300, but I think what go away flag. What's gonna the thing is gonna stop at the max width container the way it's set up right now. No, it's not. What? I would have been sure because there's this max width 7XL. What? Yeah, it does. Okay. I think it's just the resolution of my screen. I'm so close to the edge, but if I was zooming out, yeah, okay. So what we want to do is have another wrapper. We could dynamically have the border bottom class here, because I think the header is full width in either case. So you could do some, I don't know if it's a good idea. So you can't do dynamic compose strings, but you can still do dynamic classes, like something like post data layout equals split question mark. If yes, let's go. Oh, this fly keep landing on my arm. Let's go this. Otherwise, let's just have an empty string. Or let's go undefined. It went in my mouth. What's missing? So that's that looks terrible. But essentially, now I can zoom out. Now I have this full width divider, but if I switch the split to stack, I should not have the full width divider. Great. So essentially, let me go zoom back to 0. I thought I went back to stack. Did I not? Split? Oh yeah, I didn't save. Yeah. So essentially, it's going to add the header is going to add the class of border B stone 300 if the layout is split. Otherwise, it's just undefined means it's not going to have class equals empty string. You don't want a class attribute if there's nothing in it. I hate that I do the same check twice here. I could probably handle the thing here. It would be a bit cleaner. Yeah, I'll do that. I do not like this. I just wanted to show you that you can. I'd honestly almost rather add a div. This fly is going to be the end of me. All right, so now I've done the same, but if you discover the Australian fly in your life one day, you will know what I feel right now. It just it's landing on my arm and my face every 2 seconds. Can I put it on camera? Look at this. Can I? I was gonna flick it on the screen. Okay. What are we doing next? Taking a break? Eating a fly? What's missing? There's the social things, but we got a post with the 2 things. Oh yeah, I think we want to do the hero. If it's not split, like this one, we want to have the hero image here. So let's do that quickly. So this is also in our stacked layout. After the intro and paragraph, I believe. That's the share buttons, and then there's the image, which is full width. The src will be post.data.image, and the class will be rounded LG. Width full is already set by Tailwind by default. So now we don't have the hero image here, but if we visit a post with, I really don't like this image. Let me go and edit that post, which is the main markdoc post. And I'm going to change that. And I'm going to select something a bit more pleasant to look at. Yeah, let's go with that one. So our image is going to need... Also, this is the description, sounds like placeholder, so let's copy this. Go in my first post, add this, not twice, but once. Save that. So we need a good old empty 12, maybe 16 even, before the image class. Let's go empty 8, and then at the MD breakpoint, empty. Just because I feel like 16 is going to be big on mobile, even if I don't really care about mobile for this stream. Still, yeah, look at this. So what's being wrong? The spacing here? It feels very wrong. I guess the breadcrumb is that thing. That'd be interesting to build. I'm not going to start now because it takes a while. The spacing here looks all right. All right, all right. Maybe it's the max width? No? Something feels really off. Maybe it's just that it's missing the icons. Actually, that's going to be a fun one. You can see how on hover the other ones go away. I'm going to leave you with this nugget of CSS. How to achieve that when one is hovered, everything else is unhovered. And we're going to use the has selector for that. So, okay, let's do this. New component. I'll put it in the... I don't think you're gonna share anything else than posts in this blog, so we'll put it in our post directory here. Share buttons.astro. I'm gonna steal some stuff. I'm not gonna handcraft SVG icons. Oh, you know what? If Lucid has it and we have it open. So what did we have? We had Twitter. Yeah, I'm gonna go Twitter and add X just to stick it. Stick it. Boing. This fly is still helping me. It's the fly copilot, I guess. GitHub, there's definitely GitHub. Octocat. And world. Hey, I like that one. Let's go this one, it's closer. There's also a lot of wind in the background, I don't know. So see, I've pasted 3 SVGs. I didn't worry about a fragment. I didn't worry about changing, and this is all valid Astro because HTML is Astro. Let's next go in our template. Okay, so now, yes, now these 3 things seem to become a component because they're, no, it's okay, we can keep them separate. Let's go in our split layout, in our post slug. This is really a post header now that should be its own thing, but like I said, refactor this mess. So in here, after the intro, I'm going to bring the share buttons. No props passed to them. So why did it not find? We'll go import it here. Actually, the thing should be on top. And then the layout and post meta and import. It knows what I want. I want exactly that. So why did it not auto import it? So now a split layout. Let's put it on the stacked layout as well because I'm looking at the stacked layout. So prepare to amaze. I'm going to copy that here and also add it in the stacked layout. Before the image. So I haven't put any classes, so they're probably going to be full width. Oh no, because Lucid sets the height and width to 24. So out of the box, it's not bad. We want them a bit bigger and we want them horizontally stacked. So I'm going to go in my share buttons. First thing I'll do is go .flex .gap 4. And I'll scoot that at the bottom. And that's going to take care of inlining all 3. We're going to give an empty dumpty of 8. It's probably too much. No, it's perfect. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much, guys and girls. Empty 6. So sorry. Yep. Okay. Okay. So now we want the, you know what? It can almost be a bit bigger. So I want to get rid of these 2 and instead pass the class automatically of, instead of size 6, which is 24, let's go try size 7. It's probably not a good idea to have these things so big, but you always hear that icons are drawn. Oh yeah, there's 3 of them. Icons are drawn. This is where you think that you could make a icon component to reuse. Well, obviously the last one did not get the size 8. Yeah, so icons are drawn to be displayed at a specific size, and changing it is never a great idea. But to that I say, I agree, but I will not do. I'll go size 6. No, size 6 is 24. It looks too small. Let's go size 7. Yeah. The fly, it's gonna make noise when it flies off. landed on the mic again. I want to increase the gap a tiny bit in my flex container, so gap 6. All right, so now this is the cool thing. The icons are black, and then on the hover, who's here? Who's watching? 7 people are watching, or have fallen asleep with the tab open. It's black, and when I hover one, the others go gray. Yeah. So you might think, oh, we can have a group, and then on group hover, like, you might complicate things. We're going to use the has selector, and if an element does not have the hover state, we're going to change the background color. Let me think about it, because my head is a bit messed up of hours of streaming. The best approach is when we hover the whole, let's make an unordered list. It's not a flex. Well, yeah, it is. Let's make an order. It could even be a nav maybe. And I'm gonna select my 3 SVG tags and put an li before. And then I'm gonna select my 3 closing SVG tags. Put an li after. Oh, that felt dodgy. I think it worked. Did it still work? Yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna write some fancy. I've added the li to make it a bit more complicated. And hello from India, 6:30 in the morning. Wow, I thought India had less difference with it's 12 o'clock, so there's like what, 4 hours, 3.5 hours difference. Thanks for joining, Prashant. We are going to do the magic here. Now, these are links. They go to, no, they share buttons, so they probably, I don't know. Share functionality, is that a link that goes to a URL with a specific, yeah, okay, see, it's like URL params at the bottom. So these are links. I'm saying this because of the cursor pointer. I don't know if you followed on Twitter, but technically pointer is reserved to links. So if you have a button, it shouldn't make the little, Adam called it the Mickey Mouse pointer, which I think is really cool. But they are links, so they can be. So each of our li is going to be an anchor tag going nowhere. And I'll cut the A tags. No, I can't do that. So here, Copilot's going to give me the closing A tag. No, what? Okay, now I've broken everything. UL, li. No, the li is not close. It's the closing anchor tag. What? Oh no, it's inside the li. And then li. Copilot, give me the closing anchor tag. Yes, thank you. And there, closing anchor tag. Save. So because I've added the anchor tag, now we should have the little cursor pointer on hover. Nice. So now we want to stay black on hover, but we want the others to, I don't know if the color changed or if the opacity, will opacity change, I think. So it's got that little more, I don't know, I just saw a tweet by someone that's good at design mentioning that you should use a gray color instead of a transparency for disabled items. Maybe it was Adam. We'll try that. All right, so look at this. The whole UL, all the strokes have current color, which means if I change text to text stone 400, all the icons have changed to text 400. So we want to do that on hover. Yeah. But that's gonna do all three. Yes. Now watch the magic. If the hovered element, when we hover it, it will has hover. Yeah. Maybe we should write some normal CSS for that. But I don't know how to write CSS with the Astro Tailwind integration. Why is my computer... I think my keyboard just died. All right, time to plug it in. Lucky it's not the magic mouse that plugs upside down and you can't use. Let's see if I recover my keyboard. Yay, connected. Okay. I had lost my keyboard for a second. Yeah. So you can write has, Tailwind has, maybe we can do it. I don't think it, this fly. Has. So what we're going to do is if inside of it there is an anchor tag, which is what we hover, with the hover state. Like this, would that work? Has a hover, text, black. Let's try that. No, okay, so that's not gonna work because there is inside this UL there is an A with the hover. It's one of them, but we only want the one that we currently target. I've done that 100 times and now I can't think of how to do it. Can anyone work it out? Oh no! If there is an A with hover, we apply text black to every element on the UL. What we want to do is if there is, we can do the group has, I guess. Let's try to do it first like this. Let's try that. Let's make group here. And then we're going to go inside the anchor tag here. And we're going to say group has hover. I'm not sure that I'm doing it right. If the class of group has it's taking the first one, yeah. Which is kind of cool, but not what we want. Hello. Also, we only want to make them black when one of the elements is hovered. Now I'm hovering the UL, but not one of the li items. So I think we can do has. If there's a anchor tag that is hovered, we can do text what is it? Stone 500. So now it's only, let me get rid of the other thing I've done here. Now only if in the UL there is an anchor tag with a hover state, they change color. And now we want to make sure, I guess we could override this with hover text black. It might work. No, it might not work. But I want to do it all from the, I want to actually use has. We have the group has. If the group, which is the UL, I honestly have done it so many times, and now I forgot how to do it. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and open a recent project where are my epic tips. I wrote this, so it's not cheating, it's just going back to my own brain. Has. Not has. Hover grid. Let's clean it up with Zen mode. Yeah, okay, so I used the nuts. That's what I was thinking. See what I've done here? This fly needs to just go away. Ah! Sorry. It's doing my head in. We are in the UL, and I've written. So first I check, does it has an li hover that we've done? But we also checked that the current element that we hover. Yes, exactly. We've checked that the thing is not hovered. What? And it goes from right to left. That's the key part. So if it has an li hover, we change the opacity. That's what I've done. And then we said if the li element inside is not hovered, then we change the opacity. So it's okay. It's tricky. It's gonna take all the elements if there's a hover, but then it's also gonna check that the li itself is not hover. It's hard to explain, but hear me out. Basically, we can change this thing here. The not, there's no not selector in Tailwind, so you have to use basically an arbitrary property. And we're going to say the current selector, if it has there's an li and then the a though. I can go directly to the a, not hover. Look at this crazy class. I think that works. Let me check. It works. Okay, I'll try my best to explain what happens here. Let me, in case you can't see, we'll change to like something very obvious. You can see the other elements go away, and you can add a little transition to make it even more. Oops. I may need to do transition color. This is what is one. What are the default transition? All, none, colors. And if I slow the duration here to 1 second, why did it jump? Yeah, it's good. You'll see that it doesn't work. Transition colors. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm really tired. But so to summarize this, we first check we are on the UL element, and we check that it has an anchor tag with the hover. Let me remove this one more time. We have our UL element, which has a list of SVG LI with anchor tags. And we say if this element has an anchor tag with the hover state, as it means are you hovering inside one of these anchor tags inside this URL? If yes, give text tone 200 to all 3 of them. So that's what happens here. I have to refresh, or I have to save, I guess. Interesting, the first one. Why is the first? Did I keep a class on there? Yeah, I've kept that. Okay, go away. I don't want any. I don't have any class on my anchor tags. You can see it's just an href. So now, if one of the anchor tags has a hover state, the whole list becomes transparent, or like 200. And then we want to say. What we want to say is, if it's also not the ones that currently hovered. So it's very weird. If there is one of them that is hovered, but it's not the one that is currently hovered, in other words, it's the other 2, then change the color. So I saw this comment, just add hover black on the A tag. And because the has here creates a more specific selector, because it has like it has a class and then another class, the specificity will be higher. So if you go class hover text black, or maybe it works. Let me try add to that all 3. Maybe I've overcomplicated it and it does work. All right, fair enough, that works. This is now obvious in hindsight. So you can do it like this. If you want it to be silly and tired like I've just done, and you want it to do everything with has, let me show you once again the funny approach. But yeah, this is good. You set all the colors to text tone 200. But then if the one that's hovered, you can change it like this. So that works. And to go back to my rabbit hole that was probably unnecessary here, I'll show you. So we're back to making everything. Now you can say, is there one hovered? Make all of them gray. And then is the one that's hovered not the one is the one that's hovered not currently hovered? Then make the text gray, which means it's going to make only the other 2 gray. And this is basically you checked basically let me put this in a comment here. The class is, does the current element have an anchor tag that is hover, but the opposite with not? Yeah. If I go back to my other thing, we go not hover. So if we were going with that class, it would do the, and we change that to here, it would do the opposite. It would basically make the other 2 gray. But we can flip it with not. Like this. It's probably not something you would do, because the others, I've done it wrong as well. I'm so tired. Li not hover. What have I done wrong? Yeah, okay, it's not like this. It's the A like this, not hover. So if the link is currently not hover, in other words, is one of the other 2, change the other 2. So this is more complicated, but I guess this shows the power of what you can do with the has selector to change different elements. If we look at our UL element, and we add a hover to it. Class, where is it? There. If I add, no, not class, hover. If I add hover, whoop. Where is it? Go away, fly. I don't know. I'm getting very tired. You get the idea. This is a fun example, but I think that Matthew's comment definitely wins the simplicity here. You're still using has, so let's get rid of that here. There's cases where what I was showing might make sense because you can't control the... If these were outputs and you had no control over the anchor tags because it's WYSIWYG driven, and you couldn't go, hey, let me add a class here of hover text black, then you could do it from the parent like this. So now we check if it has hover. So the magic trick here is still to check that the UL element has an anchor tag that is hovered. Yeah? Because otherwise you could not make the other two elements change color when one is hovered. So we can also remove our group class because we're not using that. All right. I think it's a good place to stop because I'm getting beyond tired and hungry and all the stuff. Let's do a recap like we usually do, what we've done today. Let's go to the home page. So we have a blog with our categories that are being pulled from Keystatic. I think in next stream I'll create a lot more posts just to make it a bit more interesting. We have a categories, pages, like exploration. There's a category hub page, which looks really nice. And then if we go in one of the categories, there are posts, and the posts have an author that goes to an author page that doesn't exist yet. That's the next thing we're gonna build. There's this now share button that's been... Why is it not working already? Oh, you know what? 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 What's going on? It's not links? It is links. Why is my thing broken? I've just built it. Has. Hover. It works. Well, okay. Astro, sorry, not Astro. Chrome, not Chrome. What's the browser? Arc. Arc browser sometimes gets rid of the hover states and things for me. And yeah, if you trigger the sidebar, it works again. But there's some weird, sometimes it gets stuck in spaces. Yeah, I just wanted to remove this vertical padding to wrap up. So this is in our posts slug. There is this, we don't want that. This is far too big. Actually, we don't want any because I think, what is it? Is it the prose thing that adds this padding top? Yeah, so our content component, if I go here, there's the PT20 here. So because we're handling this, we definitely don't want to add padding bottom on the, like the header. And it is probably even too much. Too much! So let's get rid of that content padding top. Okay, empty 8. Do we have an empty already? No. Okay, we'll go more. 16. Alright, so now let me look at a post. This is the, we've done two layouts. This is the stacked layout. So we have the hero, the cover image, and then that. We created this really cool block. We'll look at the code in a second. But the nice thing is we have my first post, we have this layout stack or split. And if I split it and I save and I go back, we go now to this split layout. That looks a bit dodgy, but whatever. I feel like the gap is too big. I know the design is sort of like this, but I cannot live with this. So very quickly in the split layout, I will turn this to 24. Yeah, 20. Go with 20. Go with 16. I think the fly really wants to be on the stream. All right, so now we have that. I just realized that the border stone should be... Oh, there's two of them. Look at this. I've added it, but I didn't remove it here. And you didn't tell me in the comments. Yeah, let's go 200. As you can see, it's prototyping, so you have to go and polish stuff, but this is our post. Once again, split layout, switch to stack layout with just a select dropdown in the CMS. And all that is required here to do that change, if I go to my very first post, it's a markdown file. If I go to the top, there's a layout stack. If I change that to split and save, same happens. So we have a CMS for convenience, but we can always go and change that. Edited from the markdoc file. This is the fabulous thing is this synchronized everything. Now if I delete this from the CMS, oh, I still want my T, press enter. Once again, we're back to that, and the file is back to that. It's all interconnected. So let's look at the schemas we've built. I stop going on the mic, fly. We've created an author content with avatar, little bio, and we've created this nice I was gonna show you the new block. I'll do that next time. Next stream, probably tomorrow morning, I will do the repeating block because we've opted for a block component, which takes no children. It's just a component with an object, an array of fields, a fields.array. If I go to the Keystatic config, in our post collection, we have added a few things. We added a publish date. We've added this layout, which is split or stack that we just looked at. Relationships to authors and category. And then in this WYSIWYG markdoc content editor, we've added a component block. And this component can be 4 things. Remember, we had the docs mill. We have block, inline, mark, and wrapper. And there's a 5th one, repeating, that I wanted to play with. And basically, the repeating is really cool because it lets you get an array of other components that can repeat. So you can create an image for an image gallery, and then your repeating is going to be an image gallery, and then in the children, you will say image component can go there. And maybe you can have a video and a few other subset of components that are allowed as children. So it's really cool. But we have used the block component here, which essentially is that format. It takes a label and then a schema where you can pass whatever you want. And we haven't even looked at this, but you can have a content view, which lets you preview stuff in the admin UI. You can design it the same or completely different to represent what goes. So in our CMS, we haven't done that. So the component block is just empty, but you can see that white gap below. In there, you can have a representation of the images or some text or what have you. And it's like a preview of what's in there to make it more intuitive to the editor, I guess. And so in these components, we've created this image gallery. It's a block, like I said. And inside it has an array field that has an image field inside. So as a result, this is what you've just seen here. It's an array field, and then you can add and remove images, and you can also reorder them that I've never showed you. Pretty cool stuff. So next time I will do the content, the author page, and we will try to create this image gallery with a repeating block. And let's find a few opportunities to try other components, Keystatic stuff. So that's the repeating field. I'm sure there are other things. And then we can do the next, although I don't think we have to recreate the whole site. Again, I don't want to get sued for recreating the whole template. Is there a way to add a custom editor component? What do you mean, as in literally like a code editor, like Monaco VS Code? Is that what you mean? Like a playground where people can go and change the code? The way it works right now is you, I don't know what the answer is to this question, but if I go to docs.mil, you have these 5 component blocks. Where are we? You have these 5 types: wrapper, block. Where am I? I just want to go to content, components. These. So you have wrapper, block, inline, mark, and repeating. And then inside of these, you can use all the Keystatic fields, which are these ones: array, checkbox, child, conditional, date, time. It's a new one. I haven't used it. Document, empty document, image, file, integer. Oh, there's a number. There's a new. This is cool because I remember people asking for specific fields, and I see them added here. Relationship, select, slug, text, URL, blocks, cloud, images. So you can place any of all of these fields inside your block or inline or content components. So these are the building blocks that you can use. There is no, I don't know if I understand the custom editor component, but basically the way I see it is, if it's for the front end, I don't know how to do this, but this is the custom editor component, I guess. Oh, very quickly, I haven't used that in a while, but when you start having a lot of fields and you want to focus on the content, there is an alternative page layout for each collection at the collection level in the config. Let's see if I remember how it's called. It's called layout, entry layout. There you go. And you can choose between content and form. Default is form. And if you go content, it's going to move everything in the sidebar and give you a nice Zen mode focus. So you have the only thing, the feedback we had from people is that the title is here, which is a bit weird. But basically, it slots all of the other fields here. And now you have this Zen focus mode. It's more pronounced when you have a bigger screen real estate, like something like this. And now you open this and you feel like you're in like really blog writing mode, and distractions goes away. So there's the option for you. And if you go to a form, which is the default, goes back to the whole stack, which is the equivalent of not having that entry layout altogether. Okay, so the question follow-up was build our own Keystatic UI components. Well, if I go here, you can see there's the image field here. This is the same. Sorry. No, I don't think you can customize this existing one. Well, it's using, I don't want to make up stuff here. I'm pretty sure it's using Prose Mirror. the previous document field was using Slate and we were reaching some pain points, and this one is using Prose Mirror. But it's actually, it might not. I think Emma started and then hit some edges and maybe has rebuilt it custom. So that the best place to do that is GitHub discussions or the Astro, sorry, the Keystatic, God, I'm tired, the Keystatic Discord community. Like I experiment a lot with Keystatic and I write documentations when things are ready, but I don't really know in depth where the direction is. Like for stuff like building your own custom components, I think Emma is the best, or Jed, best people to talk to. Basically, what we want is help from the community to help us shape, like, see what makes sense. We don't want to build all the features that everyone wants, but we want to understand what people try to do with Keystatic. So the best answer to this is try build stuff and then say, hey, that would be, here's a use case where I think having the ability to do this, do my own custom image component, would be great. That said, you can do your own image component. It'll come from here, and you can have a specific different set of props that you don't want to use this default image field that gives you, what does it give you? Basically, it gives you an image, and then you can edit the file name, the alt text, space, scene, illustration, blah, blah, blah. You can recreate a field that looks just like this by customizing the content view. If we go back to all these blocks, all these custom fields, if you look here, there is this content view, which is a React component of how you render it there. So here you can create your image with whatever styles that you want, and then it'll determine how it's displayed inside here. But you will have your you can also, I've never done that, but you can also customize this wrapper thing. And this is something that hasn't really been defined yet. We're trying to work out what's the best way to do this. The content view is what's inside there. Actually, let me show you a completely useless example. So if I go in my image gallery, fields.image gallery, I can have a content view here. And I can say, render a p tag that says, hello, image gallery. And so now inside my image gallery, I will have a p tag that says, hello. This is useless, but I've customized the content, yeah? So the way it works is you grab the props here, and then you can output whatever you need. Oh, between the fly and my tummy hungry. No, go away. Oh. So that props object has a value which has, well, you can access it. I don't know if JSON stringify would be, but maybe we can have a pre-tag. And there we output this. And you go like caption props that value dot. I have no idea what I'm doing. There's like tags everywhere. Props that value that caption. That looks legit to me. Yeah. So you can see the problem with images is right now it doesn't give you the image source. It gives you, oh yeah, that's an array. So if I get the first image, it's basically this streaming buffer unit 8 array. You can have the file name, the extension, or the data. That's not gonna be happy. It's definitely not gonna be happy with that. Yeah, so there's your image, and and then you can read that buffer and like create your image. So it's a little bit of work, but this content view lets you really define whatever you want. Yeah. And then there's the one that I haven't touched yet, but it's the node view. And it's the same sort of stuff, but it replaced the entire box. The whole thing. So now I'm not even gonna have my edit button and stuff anymore. The image gallery would just be that, and I've killed the ability to. So I'm not sure exactly. The idea is we want to be able to allow people to create their own little Chrome around the custom components, so it feels exactly like they want. I hope this helps. So is that editor view what I just explained with the node view? Because if it is, that's kind of what it is, but we haven't really worked out how we want to make it. For example, how do you create your own edit button? Because without the edit button, you can't open the model. So once you open this node view, you basically, it's kind of like putting prevent default on the form on an event with JavaScript, and you kill all the browser features that were doing things for you. Here, if you go node view, it's like, all right, fine, you work it out. So I guess the idea is we need to flesh out this node view to make it useful and understand what people want to do to customize them. I don't know if I'm answering your question as something different, but all I know is content view and node view are the two things that are available to customize how things look inside the area. And you can see that you can do your thing on change, on remove. Is selected, I guess, is for the, you can see how now it's, when you select an element, did I save? So I should, yeah, now when you select it, it's blue. Is it? Oh god, Astro is freaking out again. Not Astro, Copilot. You've seen that, yeah. So that's the is selected prop. I imagine. I haven't done much customization, but and for images I don't bother because it's quite a bit of work to create an image from the buffer. But if it's like a testimonial or something, yeah, that's probably a great idea to just jump in the discussion, or and I can assign Emma and Jed to this to have a discussion about this. That's one of the ideas of doing these streams, is to uncover that sort of question. So it's good, it's part of it. Yeah, if it's a testimonial or quote or some text stuff, it's really easy to quickly do a video, like embed video. I did another project at the start of the week where where I had like embedded video, and in the content view, I just put an iframe that shows the video. So instead of just having video with edits, there was like the video showing under there, which is pretty cool. All right, so next stream, I'm going to try, instead of using that, to use the other trying to use this repeating field that I've never actually used. I know what it does, but I've never used. Repeating field. And basically one of the do I have to import it? Yeah, import it. So one of the things that it needs is children. Where is it? Yeah, see how it needs children and schema. So the schema can be whatever fields are attached to. Repeating field is going to have children components inside. So think of a composable like grid wrapper component that opens and closes, and then it expects grid children inside of it. So if you wanted to add some props to the grid wrapper, like columns, you could have like fields that integer number of columns, whatever. And that would be on the wrapper. And then you have to define, well, let's leave an empty schema. And then you have to define for TypeScript to be happy, the children. And that's confused me a little bit because the children is like a string or an array of strings. And basically, if you have another, you need to have other existing blocks, and then you can say one of the children is image gallery. Or if you have only, this is if you wanted more than different blocks like this. If you want just one, I think you can have a string, because children can be a string or an array of strings. Well, let's look at docsmil real quick. Let's go to the repeating block. Repeating component. No, it's an array of string. It has to be. So why is it not complaining, yelling at me? So let's go like this. So now it's going to be completely pointless, but I've basically creating a repeating pattern that's going to create a repeating field open and closing components, and inside I'm going to be able to have image galleries. This is obviously not how you would use it. You would have images inside to make your gallery. But let's see what happens in the config file now that I've added this. I'll go right at the bottom, add a bunch of lines. There must be a little memory leak either in the editor or my implementation, because it's getting slower and slower. Yeah, so look at this. Now I should have this repeating field, and it has this insert concept, yeah? I can't type stuff inside, but I can insert, and I'm gonna be able to only choose image gallery because there's only one. And so image gallery is the thing we've done before here. So now I have my nested image gallery where I can have my array of images and stuff, and I can have multiple of them. And so instead of the gallery being an array field, we could have this repeating field and then have a gallery image field. This is a terrible example. I can't think of a good example of something. Let's put it this way. The big difference is in the output in the markup. If we look at the image gallery, it's a self-closing image gallery component that closes here with props. It's like an array of images inside. And that's fine. But say you worked with a MarkDoc project, and same goes with MDX. If you had a gallery like this, that's existing code before you add Keystatic, yeah? And then inside of it you had item. This is the output that you will get with the repeating stuff. The repeating component will do opening and closing brackets, and then what you insert will be inserted inside. So if you want children components and parent components, this is where the repeating thing makes sense. On top of my head, I feel like you can always achieve the same with, so if we keep this pseudo example, I feel like you can always achieve the same with something like items and then that. The result is the same, yeah? It's like this inversion of control thing. You have a gallery and then there's 3 items with a value. And then there's a gallery and there's 3 items with a value. So this is a block component with an array field of items that has a value. Yeah. And this is a repeating block where you have a wrapper component and then you have instances of another component there. So it's the whole approach if you want composed components versus the parent component that passes the data. And it just allows you to... I'd say if you build from scratch, it doesn't really matter. I can't think of a reason for one another being better. But if you work with existing files that have that structure, you're like, oh, damn, now I need to turn all of these into... Or if you have that composting, you're like, oh, I need to take these values and move them into an items prop here. Well, no, you can use the repeating thing and it's going to expect a list of children components of one kind, which is the one that you've defined in the Keystatic config here. Now, I think if I do a thing that is not defined as a component block, yeah, okay, see. But if I really quickly had thing, which is block component, yeah, label, thing, schema, foo, fields, that text, yes, do whatever you want. Okay, so now I've created a thing. This is really terrible teaching, but this is the state I am. Now, in my insert thing, when I insert, it's gonna say, hey, which one would you like? Because there's more than one. So I've basically turned my insert into like automatic. You can only have images in your gallery. Now you can have things inside your gallery. And what is the thing? It's foo, woof. I just realized woof. I know, kinda. Oof will do. Can you reorder them? Not yet, but I'm sure this is something that will come. And then you can add another image gallery. All right. If I save this, the world will not explode, but my post will explode. Yes, it will explode. Okay, it did not explode. Let's look at the markup, because I've talked a whole lot about this output. Let's go to the end of the post. What? Which post did I just save? My first post. Yeah, don't save that because I had the file open. Let's reopen to see what the real file is now. So if I go to the end of the post, there you go. We have our repeating field opening, and then it closes. And inside of it, we have our children components with empty galleries and our thing. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the difference between the repeating and the array field. Is, do I want the parent component to have all the data, or does it make more sense to have the parent component be a wrapper and then have different components that own their own data inside? And that's mostly to adapt to whatever preference you have or whatever type of MarkDoc or MDX you already have in place. I can't think on the top of my head of why one or the other would be better if you building a new project from scratch. But I'm sure there's good reasons. Maybe you're controlling headless UI or Radix components. I don't know, I'm like spitballing here, but you know how Radix UI have this. Let's look at yes, get started. let's look at an accordion. You'll see that it has an accordion root and then an accordion item. So if I don't even know if that would work in MDX file, but if you were controlling this with Keystatic, you would definitely want to use the repeating, and the repeating field would be the root, and then the items would be the repeating items that you can insert. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna wrap up here because I am toast. It is of, oh my God, it's 1 p.m. I've started at 9. It's been like 3 hours 35 of live stream. Good luck watching this. Thanks for joining. I'll read one more time the comments. I think that's the last conversation we had. Everybody go to bed, except Prashant, which was starting the day, so go to work. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you've learned a few things, and I will see you in the next stream. I'll let you know as usually, and we'll keep it going. Thank you. Bye.